Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the last project call of 2019. It is December 16th, and we've got a great set of updates coming to you today. We open with Friends of Mozilla, where the add-ons team is delighted to introduce Jocelyn Lee as the newest friend of add-ons. Jocelyn has been an active code contributor to AMO since May of 2018 and has helped improve the front end. You can read more about her contributions on the add-ons blog linked here in the wiki. Thank you, Jocelyn. From there, we move on to our calendar of events. Let's see, Wednesday, December 18th, we have an add-ons community meeting at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. See the wiki for call-in information. And on Thursday, December 19th, we have the add-ons show and tell. Bring your add-ons related project to the monthly demos meeting. Sign up and see call-in details in the agenda linked in the wiki. Do a quick reload to see if any other events have come on the calendar. It doesn't look like it. So with that, we are going to move on to our presenters for the day. First up, we have Ruben and Constantina with a Common Voice update.
Hello, everyone. This is Ruben and Constantina from the Open Innovation team. And today we would like to talk to you about Common Voice and more specifically about the community engagements that we have been doing through the second half of this year. First of all, you might already know Common Voice, but basically I want to remind about what are our main goals. And basically Voice at Mozilla, basically we want to teach machines how people speak. And in order to do so, we really need to build a large multi-language data set, including the collection of voice data at the necessary scale to serve our needs in order to train models in different languages through our deep speech project. So first of all, I would like to mention that community engagement are not the only source or stream of contributions for Common Voice. We also have the organic growth through the website, as well as partnership with other companies and organizations. So for community engagements as being one of the streams, what we wanted to do is to increase the voice collection for our focus languages, English and German, but also the voice collection for French, Spanish, and Italian. At the same time, it was also important for us ensuring that we have enough sentences for people to read, and at the same time also support more than 40 languages that we have launched our website. In terms of the how, I would like to especially mention that everything that we have been doing to modernize how we do community of open innovation has been around impact and data-driven decisions, analyzing past experiments, pilots, and taking decisions based on the outcomes from the past, and engaging directly with our volunteer networks. And this includes mission-driven Mozillians, but also linguistic communities or people who are motivated about voice and open voice. Also, another important thing for this team and for us was collaboration and how to design strategies and boost our impact through collaboration with other teams inside Mozilla. And as Constantina will mention, we have been working a lot with other teams around Mozilla to make sure that our impact was increased. And of course, experimentation and basically engaging with great minds in our volunteer communities who can come up with their own solutions, their own ideas, test them, measure them, and then later incorporate in our workflow. Now, Constantina will talk about more specifically about the engagement that we have been doing through campaigns in the past months.
Thank you, Ruben. As Ruben mentioned, when we started this campaign, we set ambitious goals for English and German primarily, and French and Spanish and Italian secondarily. Those goals were set on top of the current contributions that we were expecting to happen in the second half of 2019 in Common Voice. Also, as a result of previous campaigns, A/B testing and experimentation, we decided that individual contributions were making more sense and were bringing more impact than having more events. So we decided that we wanted to engage and work with other teams inside Mozilla, like marketing and snippets, in order to engage with our volunteers and users of Common Voice. We also set goals to have campaigns on a monthly basis. Next slide, please. Our results were overwhelming. We overhit our goals. The numbers that you're seeing here are not including December numbers. So we overhit our goals in almost everything, and we are track for the languages we didn't hit our goals. It's important here to be mentioned that this is just one stream of contributions. This is just what community campaigns have been doing. Also, these data are actually going to be used in a future next data set release, and they will give direct value to deep speech or anyone else who actually wants to use the data to train voice. Thank you very much for watching this presentation. We would actually like to thank our colleagues in Common Voice team, because it's not just Ruben and I, it's also Lindsay, Megan, George, Alex, Rosanna, Jenny, Riley, and Jay. Thanks a lot to Mindy and Kevin from the Snippets and Social, and also Penying from Localization, and the folks from IT, Albert and Philip.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Thank you, Ruben and Constantina. Next up, we have Kadir in the Mountain View office with a MDN web platform lifecycle update.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Kadir. I'm the product manager for MDN. And this year, I was also involved in the MDN Web DNA, the Web Developer Needs Assessment. So this project started about 2 years ago when we in the developer relations team asked ourselves, how can we better support and understand what developers need? And we took a step back and looked at the process. How does it actually look like from Mozilla's perspective? And when we talk to people involved in the process, and it breaks down somewhat like this. This is a very simplified version of it, but three distinct phases became apparent. Part of it is research, then standardization and implementation, and adoption. And on the MDN side, we know pretty well about adoption. That's really where MDN shines. And we know something about standardization and implementation, but we really wanted to understand better what's going on with research. How do we understand what developers need, what their pain points are, and how we are addressing that? And this is quite important because we have limited resources at Mozilla. So there are some significant opportunity costs. If we implement one thing, it usually means we cannot implement another thing. We can't just throw everything at the wall. So we really wanted to understand what was going on here, and it turns out that we don't actually really do formal user research when it comes to developers. We don't really have the processes for that or the resources for that. And again, it's really important because we have limited resources and high opportunity costs. So when we interviewed people who were involved in this, in the standardization process and implementation process, this is what they said. I think we interviewed probably 10 people or so. And one thing we heard over and over again, we need to hear the voice of developers. That's what came out in pretty much every interview that we had. And it makes a lot of sense because really we cannot be successful without that part. It's hard to prioritize the right things without knowing what developer pain points are, and it's hard to design the right solution. And it's also hard to get people to use something if it doesn't solve their problem or it doesn't solve the problem in the right way. So for all of these reasons, we decided to do a developer needs assessment. And what exactly is that? So it's a prioritized list of developer and designer needs. It's a single and simple tool for harsh prioritization across a vast feature space and very diverse audiences. And it's published on MDN. It's not owned by a single vendor. We did this under the umbrella of the MDN Product Advisory Board, where we have browser vendors, industry stakeholders, W3C, because as a community, we need to at least have a common understanding of the facts when it comes to developer needs and developer pain points, even if we decide to draw different conclusions from that. And finally, it's reproduced annually, and this is really important because as an industry, we need to know whether we are addressing developer pain points And to understand whether we are prioritizing correctly, we need to track those pain points over time to see if we are having an impact with the things that we are doing. So if you do this well, we think that the MDN Web Developer Needs Assessment, or MDN Web DNA for short, can be a voice of designers and developers working on the web. And so it's not trivial asking, because it's not like asking simply the question of like, what's your biggest pain point? So there's a lot of work that went into doing this methodologically right. I'm going to skip over all of that. It's in the report itself. But we started from developers and from their side. So we interviewed 14 developers before we put this survey together, because we wanted to really understand where pain points were coming from their stories, instead of starting from what browser vendors think might be important to ask about. So with the help of more than 30 stakeholders from various MDN product advisory board members, we then put this version of the developer needs survey together, and we fielded it in July of this year on MDN, but also through the channels of our product advisory board members. That's W3C, Google, Microsoft, Samsung, and Boku. We localized the survey into 8 languages, and we got more than 76,000 people took us up on it. And more than 28,000 of them took the 20 minutes that it took to complete the survey. It's a really big survey. So more than 28,000 people from 173 countries took us up on that. And just the complete ones, that's more than 10,000 hours of time that was contributed essentially by the community to let us know what their pain points were. And we believe that makes the MDN Web DNA the biggest developer and designer focused survey, web developer and designer focused survey ever conducted. And there is benefit to that scale, because it lets us segment the survey results and still get useful data out of it. So now the results. So we had participation from 173 countries, not uniformly. 6 countries made up more than 50% of the participation here. That's the US, China, Russia, India, Germany, and France. Surprising, because we didn't actually translate the survey into German. Still came up in the top 10 there. We still have good representation from Europe, Asia, North America. Not so good representation from Africa, 2%. That probably doesn't reflect reality, but more about like what we translated the survey into. We didn't translate it into any languages that in Africa, essentially, other than French and English, I believe. So that's something that we hopefully will be doing better next year. And one segmentation we were interested in was developer types. So no surprise, backend developers, really small part of this, not something we are addressing on MDN. But when it comes to front-end, primarily JavaScript, CSS and HTML, even split. This is the difference between back of the front end and front of the front end. Those are some terms that are not as common, and we wanted to understand like what kind of developers actually took the survey. And then also a little bit surprising, but full stack, by far, most people identified as that. All right, and there was a demographic breakdown, but those are the actual results. 28 needs from top need, the biggest one, to the least frustrating thing. And just looking at the top 5 and the bottom 5, I'll go into the top 5 in a moment. But if you look at the bottom 5, you'll see that making sites accessible is there, number 24. And that might be a little bit surprising if you have ever implemented accessibility online. It's not necessarily that easy. So this is an example where it makes it clear that you need some more context to actually interpret the results, because we believe from our interviews before that that's because most developers don't get enough time to actually care for accessibility of the sites that they're building. So they might just not be aware of the issues involved in that. So if they actually got to do that, they would see that this is a lot more frustrating, but they don't have the time to do that. They don't do it as much. So it might just not be that frustrating at this point. So again, context is necessary to interpret the results here. But if you look at the top 10, one thing you might have noticed is that 4 of the top 5 items are in a similar bucket. And that's interoperability and web compatibility. So one of the biggest strengths of the web that there is no single entity controlling all of it, but that's also can be frustrating. And web developers and designers are frustrating by not being able to use the same use the features of the web platform because it's not uniformly available everywhere, by having to find workarounds, filling with browser differences, and the difficulty to verify that something that works in one browser will work also in another browser. Another bucket here, less clear, is libraries and frameworks. And again, it's the same thing. There is no standard library for the web. There is no one way to build applications, web applications on the web. And there are upsides to that, but there is also frustrations, developer frustrations related to that. And then one example breakdown, I mentioned the benefit of big numbers. We can break this down and still get useful results for the segments that we've broken this down into. And these are the top countries that took this survey. Brazil, China, France, India, Japan, Russia, and US. You can see actually for the top 5, it's very similar. Like the frustrations, despite those markets sometimes being very different from each other, developers in those markets still have the same frustrations. And then related to pace of change, which is a big thing, we asked them what was the biggest barrier for entry, like when new technology becomes available. And again, it's the same thing that we've seen before: broad interoperability across browsers and documentation and training. So that's what holds people back from actually jumping on new technologies on the web. So far, we've talked about what's available, but also we asked people what is actually missing from the web. What are the things that you like to do on the web platform, but lack web platform features to do? And there's a massive long tail. You can't see that well here. It's actually a really light green shade, but that's the other category there. It's pretty big. But then the second biggest category that we have, like the first thing that we can break out from there, is access to hardware. By far, most developers want to have access to the underlying hardware. That's sensors. That's USB, Bluetooth, camera, SMS, all kinds of sensors. And we broke out access to the file system as its own thing, as part of the access to hardware piece. That's something that stood out to us, and then access to native APIs as well. But again, you'll see that browser compatibility is prominently featured in this one as well. And then some good news, because all of that sounded a little bleak. 76% of people are either satisfied or very satisfied with the web platform. And only 9% are dissatisfied or very dissatisfied. So there is room to grow, but by understanding what developers and designers are spending their time on and what they're frustrated are, and by what they're frustrated, we can focus our attention on those things, and hopefully can help make that better. Which is why I'm very happy to share some of the responses we got from browser vendors in response to the survey. This is from Google. The Google Web Platform team is now using developer satisfaction as one of our top-level success metrics. We're excited to be using the MDN DNA as one of the main sources of data to help us understand and prioritize the key areas of developer frustration. So this is the developer satisfaction we just talked about earlier. So very happy to be able to work with them on moving the needle on that. We also get really good feedback from W3C when we presented as TPAC, and of course Mozilla. So very happy about that. And as I said, we want to do this annually. So if everything goes well, hopefully we will start the next iteration in March 2020, field it in May, and publish the results in 2020. And the results for this one hopefully will come out this week. We'll publish that on our Hex blog and on its own dedicated website. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kadir. Fascinating data and insights. Looking forward to the full results of that survey. Next up, we have me coming to you with your weekly Firefox update. Firefox 71 is our current stable release. Firefox 72 is in the beta channel with beta 7, 8, and 9 going out this week, today, Wednesday, and Friday. Our 73 release will happen on February 11th. Sorry, our 72 release hit stable on January 7th. 73 is in the nightly channel. It will hit stable channel on February 11th. Over the last week, there have been about 380 bugs resolved as fixed. This is par for the course. We've been averaging about 400 bugs a week fixed for the last year. Notable changes in the last week, the contextual identity indicator has been moved up the tab a little bit so that it's still visible with the address bar's new expanded area. If you're on nightly builds, you'll notice that the address bar sort of inflates a little bit, and it was covering up the marker for contextual identities. Web render has been enabled for Adreno 500 series and 600 series Android devices in nightly. This continues the march toward web render dominance across our platforms. A significant fix to the high contrast mode's readability backplate landed, which should allow it to ride the trains in 73. And last but not least, find in page and quick find no longer fail when you enter text with diacritics or accented characters, an ancient bug that finally got resolved. Next up, we have David Bryant coming to you with the weekly Emerging Technologies Update.
Hello, everyone. So the WebXR standard is in the home stretch to hit 1.0. Hopefully you recall WebXR is kind of the follow-on to WebVR work that we started a couple of years ago, never got completely formally standardized because WebXR gave us the opportunity to bring together the web and augmented reality and virtual reality. So with the standard getting close to being finalized, we've been able to update our developer tools and other things we've exposed to developers to reflect that API. So for example, we've updated the WebXR emulator, which lets you build XR experiences in your desktop browser without needing any hardware to support the API. We have an effort, the immersive web components, which is an idea that we can build a bunch of custom HTML components and make them available to let you more easily as a web developer bring XR elements into your web page. And so the current initial set of those components supports 360 video or image. So you can easily put a 360 degree video or image in your website just using a couple of easy HTML tags. Lastly, XE, our entity component system for the web, has been connected into the Firefox developer tools. So you can now, if you're developing something using XE, the entity component system we built for the web, you can actually analyze and debug how that's going using the Firefox dev tools with a special pane and set of elements that you can access the XE aspects of your app. And we have provided information. There's a bunch of links in here to the WebXR blog, to the page on the developer portal, the new Mozilla developer portal, and an immersive web deb.debs site that has lots of detail. So if you're a web developer interested in getting more hands-on with VR or AR or XR, now's a good opportunity, and you can take advantage of this through all the links that are provided there. A couple of weeks ago, we promised we would tell you when the video recordings from ViewSource are available online. They are now on the YouTube channel, linked here. 16, I think, different talks, about 8 hours worth of content ranging from keynotes to panel discussions and whatnot. So all readily available. You can recreate the ViewSource experience in the comfort of your own, video viewing salon, thanks to the videos being online. And then last week, we hosted Indie Web Camp San Francisco at our Mozilla San Francisco office. That was the 12th Indie Web Camp that had been hosted this year globally in 11 cities, which set a record. We have not had that many before, so the Indie Web community continues to grow and thrive, and Indie Web Camps are a popular way for those folks to get together and sort of learn from each other and grow the movement. And in fact, we already have information about 3 Indie Web Camps that are confirmed and planned for 2020, one in Austin, Texas, one in London, and then the annual Indie Web Summit in June, which we will be hosting in July in the Mozilla office in Portland. So hopefully you've had a chance to attend one of those in a city near you. If not, plan ahead, and we'll look forward to seeing you at one in 2020. And that's it for ET. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have an update from Katie on the Pocket End of Year campaign. Katie?
Share, it says you cannot share. Hi there, I'm Katie from Pocket and I'm trying to share my screen. Give me one sec here. It says you cannot share. I'll try again. There we are. Hopefully you can see that all right. All right, I am Katie from Pocket. Hello. And I am here to share with you all and give you a sneak peek of Pocket's end of year campaign. As I advance forward here, there we go. So this is just a little splash of what it looks like and how it feels. We have 3 components of this program. It's our best of content from all across Pocket. We also celebrate Pocket's top readers in 2019, the 1% and the 5%. And we also celebrate and recognize our top publishers in 2019. So here is just an example of the idea behind it for the best of Pocket. That Pocket's shining a light on really great content from all across the web, content that deserves to be seen and read and shared. We actually share 24 total stories across 8 categories. This will go live tomorrow. And we will be showing the best of stories across things like tech, culture, long reads, travel, science. And also, it's interesting, we're using it as an opportunity to promote Pocket Hits, which is our email newsletter to people who love to read and who are engaged and may want to read and see more of Pocket. And this also lets them become a new user. So that's great. I will not demo it for you because you will get to see it tomorrow, but this is just a flash of the very first screen, but it's a really great interactive scrolling experience that sort of acts as a drum roll to introduce the content. So look out Spotify. I think it's going to be really interesting and good looking too. Here's just a screenshot of the most read stories. There's 3 in each category. It's very vibrant and very colorful, just like the stories on Pocket and our community of readers. And then this is just a quick example, just one asset that we'll sort of push out in social to bring people in to the experience. We'll be doing paid promotion on Twitter and Reddit. Tons of social promotion, emails, blog posts. There'll be a story inside of Pocket Hits, inside the new tab, and even a snippet. So look for that. No doubt we'll be able to share this all in the TLDR newsletter so you can actually have a link. But please feel free to share far and wide with your friends and in your social networks. And then next, I just want to preview the 1% and 5% recognition for our top readers. People get really excited about this every year. So if you're a 1% or a 5%, watch out for this. And we just really want to celebrate our users. These are our most active and engaged users, and they're turning lots of content into knowledge, and we want to recognize that. So here's just a flash of that. This is a personalized stats page. So if you're a top reader, it literally shows how many words you've read, what equivalent books you've read, your top topics. People get super excited about this. We're giving them lots of opportunities to share in social. It's a real badge of honor for people. Let's see, here's what it might look like. We'll get a little modal inside your list, or you'll get an email for this. So it's a really nice recognition. It's fun, obviously, it's celebratory, and people are gonna be excited to see this. And then we also recognize our top publishers to continue to build the relationships with them and help them realize how popular they are in Pocket. So we send a personalized email out to our publishers. This is just an example of Wired, and they really enjoy getting this too. So that's another thing to look forward to. So that's all I have for today. As always, if you have questions, hit us in the Pocket Slack. And since it's the last meeting of the year, happy holidays, happy new year from Pocket. And maybe next year in 2020, you can make a resolution to be a top reader in Pocket. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Katie. Going to do a quick refresh to see if any other speakers have come on the agenda. It doesn't look like it, so we come to our concluding section, which is to say hello to some new Mozillians. And we've got an introduction coming to us from the Portland office. Daria, take it away.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I have to say I'm so jealous of David Bryant's sweater. I think I need one of those in my life. But that aside, I wanted to actually welcome two new members of Emerging Technologies team. The first member is Thomas Lodato. Thomas is actually currently in Georgia, in Atlanta. He's going to be in the Portland office starting with 2020. And Thomas is our senior design strategist. So he's going to do amazing work and helping us with our ideation sessions and driving innovation in our team. Hopefully we'll be able to see him waving, or maybe not. Well, anyway, welcome, Thomas. The second person that I want to actually also welcome is also joining my team, and his name is Mustafa Alkinek. And Mustafa is our interaction designer. He is doing a huge amount of work for our MDN organization, and you saw Kadir presenting earlier, so he's working actually very closely with Kadir, doing amazing work in that realm, and actually is currently based in our Toronto office. So welcome also to Mustafa, and welcome again to Thomas.
Welcome both. Thank you all for joining us this week for the weekly project update. A programming note, we will be off the next 2 weeks, returning January 6th. Look forward to seeing you then. Until then, have a great holidays and keep on rocking the free web.